pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is Tuesday, September 17th, 2019. This is the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors. We are at the Mitchell County Courthouse. It is 8:30, and we have an agenda here in front of us, and we do have a couple of issues with the agenda. I believe the county attorney will not be here. That would be number 3, and number 7, consideration of abatement of property taxes for Robin's Nest. That's being removed from this agenda. Do we have any other changes? If not, do we have any?
Also move to accept the agenda with those corrections.
Second.
Barb has made a motion to accept the agenda with the corrections. Stanley is seconded. Roll call. Barb.
Aye.
Stan.
Aye.
Smolik, aye. Approve the minutes of the September 10th meeting. Did we see any issues with that? Any?
No.
If not, do we have any motions to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Stanley has made a motion. Barb has seconded. Roll call. Stan.
Aye.
Barb. Smolik, aye. Moving down, County Sheriff. Greg, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Don't have a lot. We booked in 6 since we were together last. We sent one to Wisconsin yesterday and one to Minnesota yesterday, so we're down to 3 in the jail currently. Lowell has the particulars on the Tahoe that can be put in the paper for sale whenever you guys feel that's appropriate, providing no department heads wanted it. So that's ready to go. And finally, you might see over the next 6 weeks or so, some bills come through for a patent attorney out of Virginia. They're not going to amount to a whole lot. Stan's probably already aware of the app that our students in Mitchell County created. It's called Iowa Rapid Report, which they download on their smartphone, and then they can report to law enforcement and school administrators any type of threat that they know is, potentially going to occur at their school. They can do it anonymously. We've taken this app to a number of school districts around us, and they're also using it. We were able to reach out to this attorney by the name of William Hewitt. Mark's got his information. He's originally from Osage. He agreed to file a provisional patent for us on this pro bono. The only thing that the county would pay would be any filing fees, and they're minimal. So he's going to file that provisional patent today. The reason that we want to protect it is that we don't want a company to grab onto it and then make a tremendous amount of money from it, and our kids have to pay for something that they developed.
I had heard about it, but I didn't know it was going over so
Well,
well, others are using it. That's cool.
Forest City, Winnebago County, Northwood Schools, Worth County Schools. We're going to go to Des Moines on October 27th to Iowa Leadership Conference. They asked us to present it at that, and so who knows where it'll go. We just want to protect it in the meantime so that
Sure.
we get to decide
Smart.
where
Very
it
nice.
goes, and that way we can keep it for our students here in Mitchell County at no cost. So anyway, if you see those things coming, that's what they are. If you have any questions on them, let me know. I'll answer them for you.
Where does he live now, did you say?
He's in Virginia. Yeah, he'll be back here in October, and we're going to meet with him at that time. Probably meet with some of the parents that helped their sons or daughters help develop this app. So if they have any questions at that time, Bill will answer them for them.
That would make a good newspaper article.
So, yeah, it's moving along, maybe developing.
When he comes back, that'd be.
Yeah.
Give him a
Yeah.
little kudos since he's
Try.
doing it pro bono.
Yep. So I don't know, it's kind of exciting, it'll be in the Library of Congress sometime today, and then we'll see what happens from there, so, yeah, turning out to be and it was used, you need to develop all this safety stuff, hoping it never gets used. It did, get used in Forest City and stopped a fight over there from occurring, so the students are aware that they can use it and it does work, so. Anyway, I don't think I have anything else.
Is there anything from fellow supervisors for sheriff?
I already gave him
No,
something.
other than, like you said, the patent laws got changed a number of years ago. Basically, again, for the benefit of the big corporations and it takes advantage of the little guy that you used to be able to file a patent and had it for 17 years. And now, like you say, if you invent something and you do not have a patent on it, why somebody else can put a patent and they can stop you from even manufacturing your own. And then you have to every like 3 or 4 years renew your patent, and the price keeps going up and up. So it's one of those deals again where the big corporations have the money, they can easily do it. The little guy that's out here that, you know these inventors that basically they live from mouth to hand to mouth and this and that, you know, they don't, most inventors don't have a lot of money, you know, but they like to do what they're doing. And so corporations can really just steal what they're doing, is about what it boils down to.
Right, and we did have one inquiry already from a security firm who wanted to take our idea and information out to Las Vegas and present it, and we just kind of,
Shuffled it under the table.
well, just, we're non-committal until we get this done. So we'll see where it goes, you know, how much we promote it. Mr. Hewitt says it's not unusual for the first attempt to get denied, but he said that's where I come in then. He says I can take it from there and.
No, the right
Yeah.
lingo to
Yeah,
say.
he's, you know, very good attorney to work with, and he's
Yeah,
on.
quite often, you'll get denied 3 or 4 times before, like you say, that it's not an easy process to get a patent anymore.
Yeah. But anyway, he's on it for us, and sits on the board, I believe, of the seminary here in Osage and maybe the CRC too. And that's how we got his name, and then I just called him and said, hey, this is what we got going, and it went from there. So anyway, I don't want to take up any more of your time. That's all I have, unless someone here has something for me.
All right, well, thank you, Greg. Have a quiet week.
You're
Thanks for that.
welcome. Yep, thank
Thank
you
you.
guys. Adam.
County engineer, Richard.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We should be fixed this week, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, did we need to tell Lowell to go ahead with the Tahoe, doing anything with that?
I think he will take care of it.
Yep.
I'll have some stuff too, and I think Adam might have something to throw on that also. We'll try to get you information this week.
What's that, Rich?
Did you have something you wanted to sell on a
Oh,
In the paper.
sealed bid or?
Equipment?
we do have a old tractor, like an 820 John Deere, it's 1970 something.
Well, if you wanna, we're gonna advertise stuff with the sheriff.
You just need a description or
Yeah, give me
pictures
little
or what?
particulars. No,
Okay. All right, I'll send something to you today then.
yeah. Or if you do take a picture, you just have it at the counter.
Okay.
I don't know, we'll keep everything where it's at. I know last time we tried to sell some in secondary road, some between swipe catalytic converters, so. That wasn't last time, it was a few years back, but, so on the agenda, we have the approval of the, new hires. I've given you guys the names. I had called each individual last week and offered them positions, they all accepted. We have Glenn Wright, we have Matt Hagman, we have Randy Richardson.
So move to approve.
Second.
Stanley has made a motion to approve. Barb has seconded. Roll call. Stanley?
Aye.
Barb?
Aye.
Smollett, aye.
Yeah, any start dates or any
No, not
particulars?
yet. It'll probably be, they'll probably give 2 week notices and
Okay.
paperwork to fill out.
Okay.
Trying to close out the RISE project from, the Valent project. The project's done, the contractor's been paid, but now we're trying to close out the final paperwork. I'll probably have some for you guys to sign next week on some final acceptance stuff, and I'm trying to get another reimbursement, and we can still get reimbursed for the engineering costs at, I think it's 80 or 50%, so we'll see if we can get that documentation. I'll go upstairs and get some canceled checks for the engineering. We wanted to wait till the project was constructed to see if we had any money left, then go after the engineering, so I think there's a little bit left we can go after. That's RISE eligible, so we'll try to get that money. Other than that, I think the guys are gonna be getting close to the end of the week here, should be done with grading, 370th west of, or east of Park, or Primrose, get that done, and then, they wanted to head down to, the Wagner Quarry there, where that new quarry's opened up to. It got really soft and it's a short stretch, so we can probably finish before harvest. If we start another big project, we're just gonna be in the way for harvest, so we're gonna try to get that small one done. And we'll probably go up there and try to get that other one done. It's so non-critical. I know that if the water comes down the road and scours the road on heavy rains, but, you know, we've got bigger fish to fry a lot of times, but if that's gonna be the case, we'll go up there and we'll get it figured out. It happened this spring when the snow was in the ditch and you're trying to get the water to flow, and mold boards are digging into the rock just to try to get water going, so. Some of it's scour. I looked at it, Merlin's looked at it, we've all looked at it. I told him we weren't gonna get to it right away.
You're talking about the.
Yes.
Yes.
And right away is not, yes.
He doesn't realize that there are more important roads.
I get it.
And again, it's in front of his house, so that is important to him.
It's important to him, it's not critical to the traveling public, but we'll go try to do something, I guess.
Very good.
Got other
Thank you.
things to do, so.
Even if it will still be wrong.
It will be wrong, I'm sure. So, I think that's the update I've got for you today. I did get a quote for a motor grader here. I just got to looking at it. It came Friday, I was gone, I looked at it yesterday. There's a grade control option they offered us, whereby, it's kind of a neat deal, I don't know. There's some verbiage in this quote that I'm not quite getting, so I want some clarity before I pull the trigger on bringing it to you guys, but there's a grade control option where the mold board, you can set your cross slope on the machine, and right now, guys have their cross slopes and they're using 2 levers to lift and raise and lower the mold board and do all that stuff. Well, this new grade control is, flip a lever, you tell the machine which side you want to control the up and down with, and it matches it, so you're not always trying to match the road so much as you're getting a consistent cross slope. Don't know whether we want to purchase it. If it's not, they said something about they have 3 of these units and they'd sell us one at no extra charge, but I don't quite understand what he's trying to get at, but it's a $15,000 option, and that's pretty steep for having that kind of control. But I want to find out first whether or not if it's part of the deal or if it's an extra, because right now the new machine was quoted at about $323,000 roughly and change. I'll get you that next week, but then they offered us $40,000 trade on our Volvo. So brings it below $300,000 for the machine, but that's a full dress motor grader, snow equipment and all. So,
Okay.
but I'll bring that to you, and I want to get some clarity from the dealer on that option stuff first before we go.
Yeah, that running the blade and trying to take the dips and divots. I used to ride in Steiger once in a while and try and catch how he did that. I never could figure out how Dwayne could do that.
Yeah, you raise one side and it brings the.
He was constantly,
Yep.
but he had nice flat roads. Now Wolfie knows how to do it because his roads are flat.
Yep.
But
Once you get the crown in there and the cross section in there, and you keep it consistent, it's fine. But you get some of them roly-poly roads after a while, and you lift one side, and because of where the hydraulics are, your pivot points out there. Now you're digging on the other side.
Yep.
You gotta do everything consistent.
you gotta do things together.
So
Charlie knows that too. I can remember on one blade operators road, and it wasn't me either, it was somebody else. You'd go down the road and the car, you'd be doing this, but that could be handy.
So it's, I know one machine we have, I think, has it, it also has auto articulate, when you turn corners, it'll automatically articulate the machine, give you a tighter radius. We had one machine when we had one that was being the really, one we had in Riceville that they took back and traded us a
Okay.
machine. That one has that similar option on it, just not activated, so I don't know if it's a software thing or whatever, but, so anyway, it's a 2019 machine quote, so we'll see what happens, but I wanna get clarity first before bringing it to you guys to approve or not.
Charlie mentioned earlier this morning when I was talking to him that possibly even running 18-foot blades can be a little problem too. You want to explain that a little bit more, Charlie, or?
Well, it's just, when I ran 18-footers, I had a heck of a time, you're talking about adjusting, constantly with 18-footer. I don't know how many mailbox posts I took out because I was watching this and not watching where the end of that blade was at. It was so far out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you come back to fan that out, well, you're almost back in the center of the road, so what are you doing? You're cutting that center out.
Yeah, the guys have got that a little bit better perfected. We haven't hit any mailboxes, and some of the roads are getting so wide, you almost need that 18-foot just to cover the whole road. And with trying to keep a little bit of shoulder grass now, we're kind of trying to iron out the details and get a little bit more perfected. But yeah, sometimes the 18-footers can be a little sketchy to work with.
Your 18-foot blade has a tendency to cut the crown out, though.
It can if you're not watching it. Yep. And then so in the wintertime, I know we cut them down just because of horsepower and pushing snow.
Correct, we need to have the blade out.
But the big thing is trying to get enough on some of our wide roads, trying to get enough pitch on the blade to still try to cover most of the driving surface. So that 18-foot was something that was brought in years ago and kind of seemed like a good standard. If we don't like it, we can always take one off. Some guys don't always operate with one or operate with both, but majority of them do because it covers the whole lane to a certain extent. So
Hard to keep a crown with it.
if you're not paying attention, it will. You know.
Well, is there anything else anybody has for Richard?
Well, we got the certified letter, I laid it on Lowell's desk, that we have to contact that individual about who our representative is.
Okay.
Either Lowell or you, Rich, can have it done, or,
This is for the union vote.
Oh, that's for negotiations, I believe, isn't it?
yeah.
Renee?
Yeah. Is this, okay, so, I guess I don't know what
Their-
happened.
Their representative would be contacting us, so.
Renee's been handling all this.
Oh, yeah, that would be Renee.
I can just send
Yeah.
her a copy of this letter.
Do you have a copy of this already? You want to keep that, or you want me to have it?
Well, I can make you a copy, or I'll email it to you.
Yeah, this is contingent upon if they recertify and they're voting, so.
Again, their representative, when it's time, will get in touch with us. If they
So
vote,
you-
apparently there is specific dates that they have to resolve things by.
Yep. So if you wanna just copy this to Renee and
Yep.
give her a heads up, she'll handle that.
Were you gonna ask about the weeds?
No,
Okay.
I'm going to visit personally.
Okay, that's that one. Okay.
That's,
All right, thanks.
let me see if there's
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Yes. I'll be out to visit with Mr. Walk shortly.
All right.
Thank you. Number 6, approve Iowa DNR Water Trails Program application. So Adam, I'm gonna guesstimate that that puts you up here in the hot seat next.
Yeah. Here. So we talked a little bit about river accesses and water resources, I guess, at a few of these meetings so far. And that program I mentioned for getting grant assistance with the DNR is this Water Trails program. So in order to become eligible for any monies towards an access or any type of river improvement, you gotta first get a plan through the DNR. So that's what this is for. It's a water trail planning assistance application. So anytime we're working with the state or the feds, you can assume there's gonna be a lot of red tape and a long time frame. So this one is due November 30th. However, by September 30th, we have to have Board of Supervisors approval as well as Conservation Board approval and hopefully a letter of support from you guys to go with the application. So all you get with this particular application, if we're accepted, they develop a water trails plan for us, they develop signage, they develop contracts and estimates for any accesses. So basically what they'll do is the DNR staff will come out to our county, they'll look at the river, look at all our access sites and dams and things like that and say, all right, you need a plan from an engineer to do whatever improvements you want to do. And they'll provide that planning and potentially some of the funding for that plan. Typically it's most of the funding. So then once you get that plan, they consider you eligible for their funds at that point. If you don't do that plan, then it doesn't match the rest of the state or their qualifications and they don't want to give you any money. So you get brochures, plans, signage, all that kind of stuff, and a state water trail designation, which is kind of useful for marketing down the road. And then you're eligible on an annual basis for whatever funding they put toward that program to compete with the other 99 counties to get stuff. So it doesn't guarantee that we're going to get much money, but it guarantees we'd get a plan if we get selected. So this is a grant application process that starts on November 30th. It says in here it takes about, the applications will be scored within 45 days. Then you'll be notified 10 days after that. So you're talking 3 months, 2-3 months after we turn it in before we even know if we get it. And then after that, you're not eligible till your plan's complete. It says a plan can take 18 to 24 months to complete. So this is something that's long range. We don't really have any skin in the game by putting this application in to start with. It just kind of gets the ball rolling as far as being eligible down the road for funding. And the application stuff here is like 13 pages. I'm more than willing to leave that with you guys to check out. I got a copy here for Lowell if he needs it. They do like a countywide survey too. They send out, once they come look at stuff and look at options, they send out a survey to find out what's on the public's mind. They're involved in the process that way.
Will we get a copy of that?
Yeah, you'll get surveyed most
That's
likely.
probably, yeah.
That-
And then the
Be
finished
surveyed.
But I
survey,
mean
yeah,
the
we get a
finished.
copy and then it goes in the plan and we'll be in communication on things as the plan goes forward, you know. But
That could be helpful enough.
there's one person at the DNR in charge of it, so I don't know how many programs they select. It'll be a slow process is all I'm warning you about, but if we don't approve it in the minutes by September 30, then we can't get the ball rolling.
And you need
so.
a letter of recommendation from the
Yeah,
board.
it says we need minimum of the approval in the board meeting minutes and a letter of recommendation would be nice, so.
Okay, Stanley, being as you're the representative for the conservation, would you like to be in charge of that letter of recommendation?
I can do that.
Thank you. Well, I guess we need to, approve this.
Well, there's no negatives and a possible win, so.
I don't, any public comment? Charlie, do you got any comments on this?
Go for it.
So I guess basically what we have to do is approve this idea of this plan.
Also move to do that and to have Stan write a letter of recommendation.
Second?
And Stanley is seconded. Okay. Roll call. Barb?
Aye.
Stanley?
Aye.
Smolik? Aye. So we have your approval from the board.
Thank you,
Stanley's
guys.
gonna do the letter. So that gets our foot in the door for 24 months, possibly.
Yeah, it'll be a while, but could see something good eventually out of there.
Yeah, well,
Might work well with other things you're trying to do.
Right. So
I
that's
know
all.
that isn't as fast as you'd like to see, but
No, nothing is.
I'm sure.
no.
It's all slow, but at least it's progress, so appreciate your support on that, guys. Thank
Do
you.
you have anything else from the conservation you'd like to indulge us with?
No, I guess I just mentioned the robin's nest thing. I didn't know if it could be abated or not. County attorney told me to put it on the agenda, and then Amy let him know that it would not be eligible, so no point in doing it, but
Correct.
he thought since we weren't making any money on it, that it wouldn't be taxed, but
Well,
whatever. So I put it on there and we took it off, so.
yeah.
Sorry about any stress that caused you, Lowell. But,
It's just would be taxes that are from
yeah.
a year ago, so it's really something the property owners
Yeah,
should pay, or did, I don't know if that was part of your.
well, with
closing
the
notice.
agreement, we have to pay whatever they pay. They pretty much just hold the land for us, so we'll end up cutting a check for that, so.
Okay.
That's that deal. Other than that,
Okay, Adam, well, thank you.
thank you.
Moving down, items of note. Meetings attended. Barb, you're always first. Would you like to
Sure.
jump the gun here today?
I went to a Heartland Insurance Employment Practices Seminar. Our Sheriff Beaver and Auditor Lowell Tesh also attended. We had several sessions with all being informative, except maybe not the first one because we couldn't hear her. No matter how many times we asked her to raise her voice, we still couldn't hear her. Lots of questions to the gal who talked about FMLA. It was stressed that you darn well better have a policy book in place with including your FMLA in it. It will protect you in so many ways if a possible litigation would come up. You'll be able to show how you followed proper procedure with verbal and written warnings, that type of thing. The employee would not be able to claim that they didn't know better, or vice versa with the employer. We can't make false claims. I do have one about, I'm making sure I already sent a message off to Renee. I don't see, and someone asked it, and she said, that's a good question, having to do with what, if there's vacation left over at the end of the year that needs to be used up, and if they're on FMLA, we should need something in our policy book telling what they should do, and I glanced through it and I didn't see anything.
I thought it did. You had to use your vacation up to be on that FMLA.
Okay, if there's leftover at the end of the year and you're actually on
I
FMLA.
thought you lost that to be on there.
Okay, and maybe I just missed it when I was glancing
Right,
through.
Lowell?
We'll have to.
Yeah, anyway, I sent it to Renee, so she'll check,
It's
she'll let me
confusing.
know if it's in there. Yeah, it is a little confusing. And then, also another thing, it was mentioned that, we need to have FMLA stuff posted, and so we're making sure that's gets done too. We had a short trustee meeting over lunch, and, we had to okay, HIRP crime coverage for one of our gals, which actually came down, which is highly unusual, to $1,200 a year. And then, all three of us met with, House Representative Jane Bloomingdale for an informal discussion on, many things actually, the Iowa workforce region changing, the CAFO matrix, school buses and seatbelts, guns, housing, and she wants a October 1st or possibly 8th, 7:30 a.m. meeting with county employees so they can discuss any concerns they have. Stan and I both attended the unveiling of the Farm Bureau's video on Mitchell County. It was very nicely done by, I don't know Les's last name, the guy who did the video. Anyway, he's the one that does commercials at the Watts Theater on the screen. It was well done. Did you guys have anything to add to either of those last two?
Stanley?
Yeah, the Farm Bureau video, all in all, like you say, it was a good video. I would like to seen a little something, if they would have talked a little more about that we have a low cost of living here, but a high standard of living. I think this is the one thing that we just don't get enough exposure on, that you know, you can earn $4, $5, $6 an hour less here than you do in the Twin Cities, and yet again you can have a higher standard of living as your money goes further, because we don't have near the expenses of living up there and that, and that point continually gets slighted, I really feel.
I think that's something we could make sure, like the economic development one has on it.
Yeah.
I'll mention, I think they already are, but I'll mention it again to Tony.
No, I talked to Tony
Did
already
you?
about it, and that,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple things that, and you're never going to have something that's all inclusive, I don't care
No.
what it is, and, but I really do feel that these, little blurbs can be very, very helpful, and again, I wouldn't mind if we stick $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 into doing some, video ourselves. I mean, that can go on the internet, and, trying to, again, entice people to come back here to live. You know, the other thing that we really never mentioned on that video, is, we have a low crime rate. Very, very little,
I see Tony just came back in the room. We were just discussing the Farm Bureau video, how nicely it was done, but Stan had, he said he'd like to see, and maybe we can, on the economic one, talk more about the low cost of living but higher standard of living here, and then he just mentioned low crime rate.
you know, we have very, very few felonies. I mean, you know, basically what, the crime rate here is in, Mitchell County is more or less traffic stops. We don't even seem to have any burglaries, you know.
Well, that's part of the reason why you live here.
Yeah, but I mean, again, that wasn't pushed at all, our low crime rate. And I think this is something else that, when you see all of the activity every week in national news on how,
Oh yeah, I saw Minneapolis.
this violence is happening and that, but we don't have it.
Yeah,
Yet again, we're not mentioning it.
yeah.
Not trying to, you know, like you say, that these are a couple things that, and I'm not so sure that we couldn't do some 30-second blogs, you know, very short. Make it simple, repeat it often is what they say in real estate. Make it simple, repeat it often. Make it simple, repeat.
Well, even our theater, we do stuff with substance abuse on there, but we have a lot of people from out of county that come to our theater.
So in any event, that's just a couple of notes that but like I say, all in all, it was
Yeah,
good
I just saw
effort.
Minneapolis had, just their downtown just recently had 30% rise in burglaries.
Yeah, and I mean,
And then they went on to mention high crime going on.
when's the last time the sheriff ever mentioned that he has somebody in jail because of a burglary? I don't recall it.
I do, but it was a short incident, and they got him right away.
But you know what I'm saying, we really have none to speak of. Okay, that was in the event, that was it. County conservation, the big issue was what Adam talked about this morning, applying for that grant. Then they gave an update on the various parks. Apparently, part of the Stacyville Park could actually open up now, the southern part, but, you know, we're almost at the end of the camping season. Next year, the southern parts will be open, the northern part still will have work to be done, but it's coming along, and
That'll get them happy up there.
yeah. And then we had a Port Authority meeting Thursday morning, and basically we're waiting to hear if midstream methanol is going to be interested in trying to locate a plant at Manly. And we don't really feel that we will learn anything at all until next probably April or May at the soonest. And so things are just basically on hold with the Port Authority. But the one, they will be sending a letter out again for lack of a better term, I guess, dues, and most of that goes to our insurance bill that we have. So other than that, that was my 3 meetings.
Okay. I had 2 meetings, and one was with the Floyd Mitchell County Chickasaw landfill, and that was a full board meeting. It was on the 10th, and we discussed the financial statements from August 2019, and they were passed. They also talked about radio. The radios would be used between the office and the people out there. They could talk back and forth. Wouldn't be using their cell phones. The guys are constantly in conversation this way. They don't have to use their cell phones. Just have the radio in the machine. Anyways, getting back, they had discussed about the budget decision on it, passed that for 1920. They discussed about the dozer they got coming. No news. They discussed that Winneshiek has a 6, which is what they're ordering, a Cat 6, and it has overheating issues. So they're hoping that the extra package, the landfill package that they ordered on it, will have enough cores in the radiator to keep this one from overheating. Moved on down to the leachate update, and Alma had a request for reimbursement for engineering costs. It was $4,900, and they need to get a permit to the state so they can send leachate, and they're going to truck that down to Alma rather than bring it over here. They voted on it, passed it. They also discussed about to put the pipeline in, and the guesstimate from putting a pipeline from the landfill to Alma to get the leachate into their sewer system was $1.5 million. So they're maybe thinking about it maybe being cheaper to truck it rather than put a pipeline in. They put a pipeline in, I think they're going uphill, so they'd have to have lift stations. So that's where the expense was. Generator update. It's kind of on hold out there. They hit a bunch of putting in the lines and stuff. They got into one of the cells, so they had to halt and get the DNR in there and go through that and make sure everything is right. So, anyways, that was the meeting with the landfill. I had a meeting with, and it was a short one, with Valent. I discussed with them that Autumn Artistry was the 21st, so hopefully they're not creating a smell.
Thank you.
I
I'll
did
send you
get
a
a very whiff of it this morning, but somebody had to
Me too.
remind me of it before I noticed it.
It was a couple times yesterday.
Yeah, I noticed.
Okay. Anyways, the dissolved nitrogen flotation test unit, it did not meet their expectations. That was this latest, so they sent it back. It did work, but it didn't work as the company claimed. And that was pretty much what we discussed. They're also currently jetting a sewer pipe to the city main. So, and they also discussed that they have, their action plan to the DNR to become, what is the word? This is coming to my mind. But anyways, this is the plan, and so they have submitted a plan to the DNR for
Some kind of certification?
compliance.
There we go.
Compliance is the word. So, other than that, that is my 2 meetings. And, moving on, manure management plan updates.
2 of them, Jonas Lead, 3760 Primrose Avenue, Osage. And Rundy, number 4, Finisher Farm, 4665 Addison Avenue, Rice.
Okay. And Charlie, do you have any comment today?
No, I already made mine.
Okay. Well, with no further public comment, any other issues by supervisors they'd like to bring up before we? If not, today's meeting is over.